Hey, what's going on everybody? It's James here with Crypto Common Sense, and I have your Bitcoin / cryptocurrency / stock market / precious metals / whatever the heck else we want to talk about update for Friday, October the 30th. So it is currently about 4 o'clock in the morning. I just got up, spent about 20 minutes looking over charts, and decided to shoot a video for you because I was talking to a friend of mine before I went to bed last night. And he said, I don't see anybody else sharing the stuff that you're coming up with. Like, there's a lot of stuff I talk about privately with him. It's a guy I run a paid group with. And he said, you really need to share some of the stuff on your YouTube channel. So I thought, you know what, I will do that. I will share some of this stuff that's not so mainstream thinking. So before I jump into the content, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And of course, don't forget to check the description. There's a couple of links down there you can support the channel. Side note, there is a link for ByBit down there if you haven't signed up yet. It actually does expire tomorrow, and it actually is a special bonus. I know sometimes people think, okay, well, I can just get that anytime. It's actually a thing my affiliate manager set up for me where you get up to $120 bonus when you make a deposit. I believe it's 0.2 Bitcoin. The details are down there, though. So if you haven't signed up for ByBit, make sure you use that link. Costs you nothing extra, helps me out, and gives you a little bonus. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually this chart in front of us. And this is actually a chart you may not have ever seen before. This idea first came to me because a member of my Facebook group brought it up. I never thought about doing this. That's one of the things I love about having a YouTube channel, and I love about having a Facebook group. And even, to a certain extent, I like being on Twitter for this reason, because no one's the smartest person in the world. There's always somebody smarter, and obviously more heads are always better than one. So sometimes somebody else will think of something or point something out that I take and I just completely obsess over and I run with. I have a very obsessive compulsive personality, and I have a highly addictive personality. When those things are turned the wrong direction, it does bad things to my life. But fortunately for me, I've been able to keep them on the right path for about 17, almost 18 years now. And I started looking at this chart. This is a gold chart versus Bitcoin, and what I see is a giant ascending triangle forming. Watch. You see it? Now I want you to really think about what this means. This is a monthly chart, or excuse me, a weekly chart, by the way. This is the value of gold versus Bitcoin from 2005, right? So you have gold losing value versus Bitcoin. And after a massive drop like this, we've been chopping sideways. Except we're not really chopping sideways. We are slowly putting in higher lows while keeping a flat horizontal line of resistance. So what that looks like is accumulation. And I told my buddy about this last night, right when gold was touching this line versus Bitcoin. Of course, it's got this tiny little bounce off of it now. But I'm going to keep an eye on this. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to play out, but it's really hard to even show you this because the scale is so wonky. But look at this. That is an ascending triangle. And it's at the bottom of a huge move, which leans toward this idea that gold is going to gain value on Bitcoin, which means this. It means that if I have to choose between allocating my money to gold or Bitcoin, I would want to put my money in gold, not Bitcoin. Well, let me kind of go deep with this. So this is a weekly chart of Bitcoin. It fell. Everybody knows it fell. It moved sideways, accumulation, and then it moved up. Except again, it didn't really move sideways. It was actually putting in an ascending triangle this whole time. It's just a lot of people were asleep at the wheel, not paying attention to it. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, flat top, and breakout. You seeing what I'm getting at here? It's basically the same type of pattern, and it's not unique to Bitcoin and gold. This is what accumulation will often look like. So you have your, see it? Down, up, down, breakout. Okay, so Maybe you're convinced, maybe you're not. Doesn't matter. There's the idea. No one knows what's going to happen, but it looks like gold is going to gain value versus Bitcoin. So you might sit back and say, okay, well, that just means that, you know, they're both going to go up versus the dollar. Except, see, gold doesn't look like it's going to go up versus the dollar. And I incorrectly said it was going to go up, or looked like it was going to go up the other day, because I was trying to do like numbers in my head and compare numbers in my head and all this stuff. And somebody pointed out, thankfully, on the video and said, hey, don't you mean gold will go down? I'm like, yes, that is correct. I'm wrong. You're right. And so let's take a look at gold and I'll show you. Here's gold. This is a monthly chart of gold. And obviously we are extremely overbought on a monthly time frame. That's not like being overbought on a 5-minute time frame where you're going to get overbought and just keep going up, 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 up. Probably going to get some type of corrective move. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to crash. I don't think gold's going to crash. I just think that it's due for a little correction here. If we look at the all-time high for gold, it's right there. That happened back in 2011. Gold ran up, busted through that, put in the spinning top candle on top of it, fell back below it. Now it's come up for a bearish retest of that key resistance level, and I suspect it's going to, you know, move down a bit, right? How far down? Don't know. Don't know. If I had to guess, I would probably be interested in buying gold if it falls back down to around $1,500 US dollars per ounce. So, you know, I already have some gold, I already have some silver, and then of course I have the cryptocurrency as well. So I kind of try to keep that stuff balanced out. But I would definitely be interested in dipping my toes into more gold at this level here. But my point being, this isn't so much about what gold's going to do. My point being is if this slowly moves back down to this level, or even back down to the 38.2 as far as that's concerned, right? That means gold's going to lose value versus the US dollar, okay? Now, in a video, a few videos ago, I showed how gold looked like it was poised to gain value versus the stock market. So start putting the big picture stuff together. If gold is gaining on the stock market and gold is gaining on Bitcoin, but gold is losing versus the dollar, that means the stock market and Bitcoin are both poised to lose big versus the dollar. What that means, if asset A is going to drop against B and B is going to drop against C, then A is going to drop even more versus C than B did. Right? I know it's a little confusing here, A, B, C's and everything, but this is what I was talking to my buddy about, and he was like, yeah, you really need to do a video, right? So I wanted to share this with you all. That's, you know, again, I know a lot of people right now are just, you know, upset with me. I've been getting more hateful comments than normal because the market pumped so high, and my gut feeling is people probably didn't invest. They were probably scared to invest in Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin went up without them. And maybe they were watching my videos and using my videos as some type of confirmation bias. Well, James is bearish, so I'm not going to buy Bitcoin, right? Well, now it's up, and now they've lost faith that I know what I'm doing, you know, or they've lost faith that I know what I'm talking about, and they're super salty, so they keep attacking me. But the thing is macro level movements don't happen in days. People really, in this space, it's way worse than it is in stocks. People want instant gratification, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's a lot of really young people. And I'm not trying to be, you know, paint with a broad brush where all young people are bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying young people are more impulsive than older people, right? And by older people, I mean people in their 30s, 40s, and etc. I'm, you know, nearing 40 myself. Like, we have calmed down a bit. We've kind of realized that the world doesn't move at the pace we want it to move at. It moves at its own pace. But when you're 20, 25 years old, you know, you want everything now, now, now. And a lot of these people in this space, they're in that age bracket, and they don't want to wait. They don't want to wait for things to play out. It's kind of like gold here, right? I mean, you look at this pump on gold. This pump started in August of 2018. It took 2 years to move up, you know, double. And that's actually really fast, 50% in 2 years. But people in crypto, they want Bitcoin to go from, you know, they want it to go from $10,000 a few months ago to $50,000 next year. So in 12 months, they think this thing should go up 5x. And they think that that's being conservative. They think, oh, it might be going to 250K, right? They think it's actually logical and reasonable to believe that this asset's going to go up 25x in 1 year. And in no way am I poking fun or saying that I know they're wrong, because again, this all goes back to the same thing. Nobody knows what's going to happen. You can only make educated guesses, and that's all it is a guess. And that's why risk management is so important. It's why I do hold some Bitcoin, I do hold some altcoins, because I recognize I could be wrong. And one of the things that people need to understand about investing is historically all markets work the same way. Over the course of a year, there's normally about 10 or 15 days where all of the gains happen, right? There's like 10 or 15 really big days and the rest of it's just chop. If you're not invested and you miss those days and you're wrong for being bearish, you basically miss out on a large portion of those gains. So it's just it's a double-edged sword when you're bearish, right? But here's what I always tell people that ask me about this and why I use proper risk management. If I'm bullish and I'm wrong, I lose money. If I'm bearish and I'm wrong, I miss out on money. And that is the difference. And a lot of these people, again, they're early 20s, and a lot of these influencers and things like that, you have to remember that these are kids, right? And I'm not saying that in a demeaning manner, but they're kids. They're 20, 25 years old. If they're wrong and they lose everything, first off, they have, in many cases, have very little to lose, right? Let's be honest, losing a few $1,000s or even $5,000 or $10,000 is not going to really change your life much in most cases, right? Second off, a lot of them have parents. I don't have any parents. My parents died when I was young, right? I don't have anybody to bail me out if I'm wrong. No grandparents, no aunts and uncles coming to the rescue, no parents, right? And that's the way it's been since I was 17 years old. So, there's a huge difference for those kids who are, talking the big game and, I went all in. Well, you went all in with $3,000, Junior, so sit down and shut up. There's a whole different level of I went all in when you're 30 years old or you're 40 years old and you suddenly moved your 401k of $250,000 into Bitcoin, which I didn't do, but I'm saying, people have done that. Or like 2017 when, the poor saps were mortgaging their houses to buy Bitcoin at $20,000 or $17,000, right? There are ways to play these markets where if you play them like a lottery ticket and you gamble, you might win big. You might make absurd amounts of money. But you just have to remember, if you play it that way, if you're wrong, you lose money, right? You don't just miss an opportunity. So that's kind of my take on it. I don't think I'm going to go into too many other things today because I don't want to do a 30 or 45 minute video every single day. But I wanted to share this with you all, and well, you know what? There is one other thing I want to talk about, and I'll make this brief. This is a good example of how people, they listen to their bias more than they do their skill set. There were a lot of people that I actually respect that were on Twitter over the last couple of weeks just talking mad trash about the DXY, the dollar index. And they're talking about how it looked, horrible, and it looked like it was going to go down and everything else. And if y'all remember, at the close of last month in September, I said, what's the general rule in trading? Number one, you don't short support. And number two, this was a bullish engulfing candle. So if you were, shorting the DXY or expecting the dollar to crash, you were only doing so because you wanted it to, right? Not because it was actually looking that way in the charts. And the dollar had a heck of a couple of weeks. And I know that it's just now sitting back where it was when the month started. But, they were bearish down here talking about it going down to 92 or 91. I even saw some people calling for 87, right? And now yesterday, this thing got back above 94. It's sitting in the high 93s right now. I don't know if it's going to go up or if this is some kind of dead cat bounce, which I'll talk about in a second. But I do know that this was monthly support going all the way back to 2011. And the idea that anybody would be bearish on support like that was a little bit absurd, right? If you pull up the RSI on this thing, I'm not all the way awake yet, sorry. If you pull up the RSI on this thing, to me it looks like it's putting in a massive descending triangle. So kind of like Bitcoin on the macro level, I'm not real bullish on the dollar. This thing looks a little sketchy, right? But short term, what I was expecting to happen and still expect to happen is I think this thing is going to bounce to the top of this descending triangle, right? Which could take 6 months to a year, which would coincide with something like a stock crash, for example, and then fall out the bottom of this triangle, because this doesn't look bullish. On the macro picture, the dollar looks really pretty sketchy. If we do some fibs on this thing, look at this. You see it? So we had the 2001 through 2008 bottom. This looks like a dead cat bounce to the 61.8, which is what? It's the golden pocket. It's where, you know, when you hear me talk about Bitcoin, it's one of the reasons I was bearish on Bitcoin last year, was because it bounced up right to its golden pocket. Look at this. Okay, well, that's not exactly what I was expecting to happen. This isn't why I pulled this chart up, I promise. Wow. Sometimes you find stuff when you're not looking for it. So let me show you this. Look what happened on the dollar. It fell. Bitcoin fell. The dollar bounced its golden pocket. Bitcoin went to its golden pocket. I was super bearish back here, taking a lot of heat, just like I am this year. The dollar fell. Bitcoin fell. The dollar bounced its golden pocket again. Bitcoin has bounced its golden pocket again. And then the dollar fell. So, without meaning to, I just stumbled across a fractal. If this falls, where did it fall to? It fell right on the support, just above its 38.2. Okay, so where is the 38.2 on cryptocurrency or on Bitcoin? It'd be like a fall about right here. It would be, you know, similar to what happened here. It's not going to be exact because, you know, this fall was obviously steeper compared to what this fall would be. And what I mean by that is, if I measure this up, right, watch what this did. This went all the way back down close to its, you know, 80 fib. So this could go all the way back down to its 80 fib, which would be right there. Hey, that would actually be $6,000, right? And if you remember, and I swear to you, I didn't plan any of this. I didn't know this looked like this before. I was doing this off the cuff. So this is a lot of times, this is how I come up with these videos and come up with these ideas. I'll be doing tons and tons of charting, and then all of a sudden something jumps out at me like, whoa, look at this. This is kind of cool. And then I get excited about it and I want to share it. And so sometimes people are like, oh, there's no way you're successful. You wouldn't do YouTube videos. Why? How fun is it to have an idea and not tell anybody about it? I mean, I love my wife and everything, but my wife doesn't want to hear about my trading. Her eyes kind of glaze over. She's like, how much money is it going to make us? Okay, right? She's not interested in this stuff. It bores her to death. So I like sharing this stuff with other people who, you know, actually get it, who are actually excited about it. But if you remember this wedge right here, our breakdown target, if it is a wedge, and we don't know if it is, but if it is a wedge, our breakdown target was down around 6 grand, which was also this trend line from back here in the bottom. So again, that's my bullish scenario. Is this thing pulling back to 6 grand, stock market's having a bad crash, this having a crash, but then both recovering. So cool stuff. All right, now the video is long because I went off on a tangent. Hope you don't mind, but I'm going to wrap up there. As always, please remember, I am just some guy sitting in a spare bedroom, so nothing in the video is financial advice. Nothing in the video is trade advice. You should always do your own due diligence and seek out professional investment advice from a licensed financial advisor before making any type of investment in cryptocurrency, the stock market, or precious metals. If you haven't already, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to check the description for links where you can support the channel, as well as join my trading course if you'd like to learn how to trade, which is totally different from doing analysis. Again, trading is all about setups. All right, this is James with Crypto Common Sense, reminding you to please trade safe.